Noche Buena. Every day was cooler than the one before, and Christmas Eve day was bone-chilly. The sky was dark as stone from dawn till dusk, and sleep fell without stopping. Josefina's hands were stiff as she and Clara put the final stitches on the altar cloth late that afternoon. At last the cloth was finished. Tia Dolores held one end and Anna held the other so that they could fold it carefully. One of the flowers Clara had embroidered ended up on top. Tia Dolores stroked the flower gently. "Clara," she said, "you have your mama's gift for embroidery. Truly you do." "I can't tell Clara's flowers from those Mama made," agreed Anna. A quick, pleased smile lit Clara's face. She took the silver thimble off her finger and held it out to Tia Dolores. "Thank you for sharing this with us," she said. Tia Dolores didn't take the thimble. Instead, she said, "Perhaps Josefina will let us keep it in her memory box. It'll be handy there." "See," said Josefina. "Go ahead, Clara. You can put the thimble in the box. It's on the shelf in our room." But Clara put the thimble in the palm of Josefina's hand and curled Josefina's fingers around it so that it was held tight in her fist. "No," Clara said. "I think you should go put it in your memory box, Josefina." "See, put it safely away," said Tia Dolores. "And Clara, you'd better go too. It's time for you girls to change your clothes." She smiled. "It's Christmas Eve." Josefina and Clara hurried across the courtyard to their room. Francisca, who shared a room with them, had finished dressing. She left a small candle in the room to give Clara and Josefina light to dress by. But as they came in, it seemed to Josefina that the room was illuminated by more than one single candle. Josefina smiled when she saw why. Someone had laid Josefina's maleta, comb, and best dress on top of the trunk, and the pretty yellow dress brightened the whole room. Josefina walked toward it, then stopped, stared, and gasped in surprise. There, sitting on top of her yellow dress, was Nina. Josefina lifted Nina up. She saw that Nina's face looked just as she remembered it. The eyes Mama had sewn out of black thread still looked lively, and the mouth Mama had sewn out of pink thread still smiled sweetly. Nina's yarn hair was smooth and untangled. Her arms and legs were plump with new stuffing. Best of all, Nina had a new yellow dress that matched Josefina's. It had a long skirt and long sleeves gathered into puffs up near the shoulders. Nina even had a tiny new matilla like Josefina's, and pantalettes and a petticoat. Josefina hugged Nina and kissed her soft cheeks. "She's yours," said Clara. "Oh, Clara," Josefina whispered. "Gracias." She hugged Nina closer. I thought she never would be." "Why not?" asked Clara. I knew that you had her," Josefina admitted. "And you knew?" interrupted Clara. "See," answered Josefina. "Why didn't you say anything?" Clara asked. "Well," said Josefina, "Tia Dolores told me that you needed her." Very slowly, Clara nodded. "I did need her," she said. "I thought she was all I had left from Mama. But now I know that I have Mama's gift for embroidery, and I'll never lose that." Josefina touched the smooth ribbon around the waist of Nina's dress. "Did you make this dress for Nina?" Josefina asked. "See," said Clara. I wanted to carry on the tradition that Mama had started. Josefina smiled broadly at Clara. Nina's dress is beautiful, she said. I think maybe you have Mama's gift for making doll dresses, too. Clara smiled back. Then she looked lovingly at Nina. I went to Nina for comfort because I thought I had nowhere else to go, she said. But now I know that there's comfort all around me if I need it. See, said Josefina. I'm finding that out also. She opened her fist, and the silver thimble shone in the candlelight. I'll put the thimble in my memory box, so that we can share it, Josefina said to Clara. And we'll share Nina, too. She'll sleep between us from now on. Christmas Eve was called La Noche Buena, the good night. And this Christmas Eve felt like a very good night to Josefina. Nina was hers to love and care for at last. The weather was still sleety and cold, so Josefina wore the rebozo crisscrossed over her chest and tied behind her waist under her outer blanket she wore for warmth. She tucked Nina inside her rebozo and held her tight as she and her family walked to the village. It was later than usual because tonight Las Postas would end at the church and the priest Pere Simon would begin Mass at the stroke of midnight. After Mass, everyone would stream out of church into the frosty blackness and wish each other Feliz Navidad, Happy Christmas. Then there was going to be a party at Garcia's house. Josefina knew there would be music and dancing and a wonderful feast. Anna was bringing a silver tray piled high with sweet bizcochito cookies, like Mama used to make. Josefina hugged Nina in happy anticipation of it all. A big bonfire glowed gold in the darkness in front of the church. Josefina was glad to see it. She was glad to go inside the church, too, where it was dry. Sleet had beaded her blanket as if it were covered with thousands of tiny pearls. Josefina took the blanket off and shook it just inside the door of the church. She checked to be sure that Nina was held safe in her rebozo, then hurried to catch up with Papa and Tia Dolores and her sisters. They were near the altar with Senor Garcia and the other friends and neighbors who had come to decorate the church. Tia Dolores gave the altar cloth to Senor Garcia. Gracias, gracias, said Senor Garcia to Tia Dolores and the sisters. I am told that all of you had to work hard to repair this. God bless you. Everyone is grateful, said Senora Lopez. Now our altar will be as beautiful as it has been in past years. Pere Simon is on his way, said Senor Garcia. Some of the men have gone to greet him and lead him to the church. Perhaps we had better begin to decorate. Soon it will be time to start Las Postas. Only a few candles were lit. Most were being saved for Padre Simon would say Mass. The church was shadowy, and Josefina felt as if she and the others who quietly set about decorating were preparing a lovely surprise. Josefina helped Papa and Senor Lopez arrange pine branches around the a little wooden stable that was part of the nativity scene. The branches smelled fresh with the tang of mountain. Then Josefina helped put the carved wood figures from the nativity scene in their places. She helped spread the cloth on the altar and smooth out any wrinkles. Anna and Francisca and the group of girls had just finished arranging the colorful ramillets in an arch over the altar. When Senora Sanchez hurried into the church, she looked distressed. "Pardon me, Senor Garcia," she said breathlessly. "I'm afraid I have some bad news. My daughter Margarita is ill. She must have caught a cold from being outside on these bitter nights. She is too ill to be Maria tonight. She can't stir from her bed." "Poor Margarita," said Senor Garcia. Everyone dropped what they were doing and gathered around Senora Sanchez and Senor Garcia. They shook their heads and murmured, "Oh, the poor child! Bless her soul!" Josefina's heart beat fast. She asked herself a question and thought hard about the answer. Slipping one hand inside her rebozo so that it touched Nina, Josefina used the other hand to tug on Senor Garcia's sleeve. Senor Garcia turned to Josefina. Josefina's voice was small but steady as she looked up at him and said, "Please, Senor Garcia, may I be Maria?" Everyone looked at Josefina as she went on. "I'd like to pray that this will be a happy Christmas for us and for my mama in heaven." Senor Garcia's thin, old face was solemn. Slowly he nodded. "See, my child," he said to Josefina, "you may be Maria." Josefina turned to Papa. "Will you be Jos?" he asked him. "I will," said Papa gravely. He didn't smile, but he looked at Josefina with pride and love. Tia Dolores did too. When it was time, Josefina handed Nina to Clara for safekeeping. "Please hold her for me," Josefina said. "Keep her warm." Clara took the doll. "I will," she promised. They all went outside. The wind was blowing hard, driving the sleet so that it stung Josefina's face. Papa lifted Josefina up onto the burro's back. She knew Senor Sanchez's burrow was gentle, but still, she felt very high off the ground. Josefina was glad Papa would be walking at her side, leading the burrow. She took the reins and held on tight. A gust of wind made the skirt of her dress flutter. Papa was wearing an extra blanket over his sarek. He took it off now and said, "You'd better wear this over your own blanket. It'll keep you warm." "Gracias," said Josefina. As Papa wrapped her in the blanket, it covered her from head to foot. As the villagers gathered to begin the procession, many people stopped to speak to Papa and Josefina. Gently they touched Papa's shoulder or Josefina's foot or the end of the blanket Papa had wrapped around her. "May God grant you good and long life," they said. Josefina tried to sit up as straight as she could on the burro's back. Then, with a slow clop-clop of the burro's hooves on the frozen ground, they moved to the first house. Papa knocked on the door, and they all sang, "In heaven's name we ask for shelter." And the people inside sang back, "This is not an inn, be on your way." Josefina's voice was unsteady at first. She felt nervous and stiff because she was self-conscious, but As they had on every other night, the lovely music and words soon made Josefina forget all about herself and her shyness. After a while, Josefina was singing the Las Posadas songs in a voice that was full of all hope and happiness of Christmas. Papa led the burro from house to house at each house, and he and Josefina and everyone with them sang, asking for shelter. And each house, the people inside sang back, telling them to go away. Then everyone inside the house came out to join the group behind Papa. After the last house, Papa turned back to the church. By that time, everyone in the whole village and all the workers from the rancho were in the crowd. Josefina felt as if everyone she knew and loved in the world were there behind her. When they got to the church, Papa knocked on the doors. The sound echoed inside. Then everyone sang, Maria, Queen of Heaven, begs for shelter for just one night, kind sir. Padre Simon opened one of the church doors just a bit. He looked out and sang, Come in, weary travelers, you are welcome. Then Padre Simon flung both doors open wide. Golden candlelight flooded out. The church bell rang, and everyone sang, God bless you for your kindness, and may heaven fill you with peace and joy. Papa lifted Josefina down off the burro. She was glad for his strong arms because her legs felt wobbly and numb from the cold. The big blanket Papa had wrapped around her was weighted down with the coating of sleep, but when she took it off, her own blanket underneath was dry. Josefina? She heard someone whisper. It was Clara, who handed Nina to her. Josefina tucked Nina inside, safe inside her rebozo again. Then Tia Dolores took Josefina by one hand, and Papa took the other, and they walked into church behind Padre Simon. Ana, Francisca, Clara, and everyone else followed. Josefina could barely breathe. The church was so beautiful. She felt as if she were walking into a dream. All the candles were lit. Their brightness made the candles shine and polished wood glow. The candles cast a warm light on the nativity scene in its nest of pine branches and on the delicate ramilets arched gracefully above the altar. But to Josefina, the most beautiful thing by far was Mama's altar cloth. Perhaps it was because she knew and loved every stitch of it after working on it for so long with Tia Dolores and her sisters. In the wavering candlelight and the soft flowing leaves and flowers seemed to be floating in a gentle breeze. And the colors were rich and true. Josefina looked at the newly embroidered flowers with pride. Mama would be pleased, she thought. By now the church was full of people, and Padre Simon began the Mass. When it was time for her to sing the beginning of the lullaby, Josefina stood up, closed her eyes, and sang. Sleep, my beautiful baby, sleep, my grain of gold. Her voice was the only sound in the church, like a bird singing all alone on a mountain top. Then Josefina opened her eyes, and everyone began to sing with her. The night is very felt as safe and as loved as she used to feel when Mama sang the lullaby to her. Josefina hugged Nina close, sure that her prayer for a happy Christmas had been answered. And that's the end of Josefina's surprise. Like I said at the beginning of this dramatic reading, I didn't remember a whole lot about the Josefina books because, like I said, they weren't my favorites growing up. But one thing that I really like about the Josefina books, and that I like about some of the other American Girl books, is like, it's not just like the characters are a product of their time. They're also a product of like their culture too. This is true with the Josefina books and the Rebecca books. I know that when they first announced that they were releasing the Rebecca books and the Rebecca doll, me and my sister kind of were upset about it because we felt like they were replacing Samantha with Rebecca. But honestly, I think Rebecca's stories are more a combination of like some details from Samantha's and some details from Josefina, because like Josefina, you see that you learn a lot about her culture along with the like decade, and I feel like that's true with Rebecca too. You learn about a lot about that time, but you also learn a lot about like Jewish and Russian traditions and stuff, and like different holidays they celebrate and stuff like that. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this dramatic reading of Josefina's Surprise. I believe the next one I would be doing chronological is Kirsten's Surprise, which Kirsten isn't my favorite character ever, but I want to try to read all of my American Girl Christmas books for vlogmas, so I will try to do it. And I need to find my Samantha Surprise book, because I know I have it, I just don't know where it is, because it wasn't on my bookshelf when I went through and gathered all my Christmas books, so I'm gonna have to find that, because I'm pretty sure it goes Kirsten, Samantha, Addie. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So I'll have to find that. And I will see you guys next time.